Welcome to the Beginner Photography Podcast. Today, we are learning the one thing that is holding you and your photography back. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Beginner Photography Podcast, a weekly podcast for those who believe that moments matter most and that a beautiful photo is more than just a sum of its settings. A show for those who want to do more with the gear they have to take better photos today. And now, your host, Raymond Hatfield.
Hey, welcome back to this episode of the Beginner Photography Podcast. I am your host, Raymond Hatfield, and I'm excited to be here today. Lots of reasons. One, because it is indoors and there is snow on the ground outside, which I've realized I'm done with it. I'm just done with the snow. I grew up in a part of California that didn't have any snow. We were close to the mountains, but not close enough to where we got any snow. And now that I'm older, when I was young, I thought that I really wanted snow, but now that I'm older, I realize that I'm glad that I didn't have that snow growing up, and I wish that it was gone now. I wish that I lived somewhere much warmer, but not so warm to where it's like 80 degrees in the holidays. So anyway, you get what you get. But regardless, today I'm excited to chat with you because I think I found something pretty interesting here in the Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook group about things that you're struggling with, and I'm excited to get into that. But obviously, before we get there, stop me if you've heard me say this before. But I, regardless of the snow, I love December. As I get older, I love December more and more. And there's music and there's family, of course, but there's also just being able to slow down and reflect on the year that is that thing is really important to me, being able to think back on the year and see what happened, because not only do we get to see what sorts of progress we have made throughout this year, but also it lets us look ahead and make plans that will help me get closer to the goals that I want to achieve, help me get closer to where I want to be as a father, as a husband, as a photographer, and even as a podcast host. Now, last week, I took a day and headed over to the library because it's nice and quiet and there's no kids running around. And based on what you had told me in the Beginner Photography Podcast survey that I had sent out, I sat down and I drew up plans for the year ahead that will, make the most impact and help you with the things that you're struggling with the most. So I took all that information of things that you said that you're struggling with and things that you want more of, and I made a plan to put into place to help create more of those things and not do the things that I think maybe you need, but you actually don't need, and that would ultimately just be a waste of time. But, doing this exercise really helps me because honestly, it gives me a renewed sense of optimism, which is very welcomed in a year like this, if you know what I'm saying. Now, next week, I am hosting my annual Plan Your 2021 Marketing Calendar live workshop just for premium members, which got me wondering about everybody else's goals for the upcoming year. So I asked you in the Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook group, and I was kind of surprised. There was more than 80 comments, and the range was kind of all over the place. I got a bunch of different answers, but there always seemed to be one major thing that kept coming up, and I realized that it's really at the center of what is holding us back as photographers who are growing. Of course, there were some great, awesome goals. Danielle said that she just got her first camera, and now she's determined to take her daughter's newborn photos herself when she's born in April, and then to tackle, obviously, pictures of newborn and then a toddler after that. James says that his goal for 2021 is just to shoot a lot. He's not interested in portraits. He said, so I have to go out and find things to shoot. I like architecture, street photography, and events, but that means that I gotta get out and find it. Charlie said, get 5 more national parks photographed. That is awesome. That's fun. Love national parks. Brett says to start getting some of his bucket list shots that he wasn't able to do this year. Yeah, I mean, we as photographers really got screwed this year. And then Danielle says to get better, to keep learning, feel more comfortable, and maybe even get a gig or two. Now, all of these goals are great. There is excitement, there's hope, a little bit of nervousness. You know, these are all great things when it comes to goals, because we get into photography to feed ourselves creatively. And I think that all these goals seem to match that goal pretty well, especially all the national parks. That's fun. I'm excited to keep up with you, Charlie, and find out, see some of these photos of these national parks that you get. But as I continued to keep reading these goals, as I said, I mean, a lot of comments, a lot of different goals. I did notice that some of the goals that we set for ourselves are just simply not as um, optimistic, honestly. Over and over, I could see many of your goals were actually, they were not inherently photography goals. They all signaled what I think was a much larger problem. And again, there was more than 80 comments, and after reading them all, it became very clear to me exactly what is holding so many of you back from reaching your goals, whatever they are, for this coming year. It's yourself. It's you. It's you. You are holding yourself back from achieving your photography goals in 2021. Now, that is a problem not only for you, but it's also a problem for me, because while I can give you all of the info that you need to become successful, ultimately it is 100% up to you to actually do it, to put it into practice, to use that as leverage and grow. Now, maybe you're thinking to yourself, Raymond, what are you talking about? Like, I want to be a photographer so bad. I would do anything for it. I would never hold myself back. I get it. I mean, I've said those same things before, but let's talk about it. Now, there were several main themes that kept coming up over and over again, but it's all mindset. Things like, thinking that your gear is not good enough, it's holding you back, or comparing yourself to others, thinking that your work just isn't good enough to start charging, these sorts of things, right? And I got a bunch of examples, and we're going to talk about them. We're going to have an open and honest conversation right now. When it comes to things like thinking that your gear isn't good enough, Raphael said, I want to learn in 2020 how to get more, or 2021 rather, how to get more quality pictures. I'm confused and undecided on shooting RAW versus JPEG for my photos. I mean, that's like step one, and as we can tell by Raphael here, we're already feeling so overwhelmed that now we're just not taking the photos, right? How do you record a photo? Is it RAW? Is it JPEG? I don't know what the right answer is. I'm just not going to take any photos because I don't want to do it wrong. Lisa says, my main goal is to just get some portraits of my boys. My husband got me a 70-200 for Christmas that comes in on Thursday, and I really cannot wait to play around with it. I can't tell you how many times I have, ordered a new lens or thought, I gotta wait for this, this one thing. And simply in the waiting process of waiting for it to arrive, or I just didn't shoot anything because I thought, I mean, the photos that I'm going to take once I get this new thing are going to be way better. So, just why even take photos now? More specifically, I mean, even with my X100V here, I have a Fuji X Pro 2 with the same focal length, with the same aperture, but for some reason, I had to wait until I got this X100V here to really start shooting in a way that that I thought would let me experiment with new things in photography, which is ridiculous. But that reminds me of a story that early on, I was still in LA and I got volunteered for a shoot that from a friend, right, quote unquote friend, that I knew I just deep down I didn't have the gear uh, to do the shoot, and I wanted so badly to back out of this thing. It was a large family. I think 15, 18 people, not four. It was a large family, and they wanted one of those Vanity Fair type shots where everybody, there's like some people sitting, some people standing, resting on each other, looking all, very, very stoic and I don't know, heroic, I guess. Where the shot itself, it's pretty typical. The background, very underexposed. But on them, there's just this heavy, soft light that is just super beautiful. And I knew, I was just pretty fresh out of film school. I did not have the money to buy the right equipment, and I definitely didn't have the time to get the right gear either. I had one flash. It was the Canon. I think it's the 430. I think it's the 430 EX 2. It was one flash, and they wanted this thing to be outdoors in the middle of the day. There's no way that my flash was going to be able to do the job here, but I just had to jump in and do my best because there was no other option. Like, there was no backing out. There was no nothing. So what did I do? What I did was I bracketed the photos. So I took two different photos. I took one shot that was properly exposed for the family. And then I took another shot that was two stops underexposed. So therefore, the family was going to be very dark. You wouldn't be able to tell who they were. But the background was going to be the exposure that I would have wanted. And then I just spent, the next month, it wasn't a month, but I spent a long time using what at the time was Adobe Fireworks. They bought it from, it doesn't matter. They bought Fireworks from a different company, but Fireworks later got rolled into Photoshop. So just Photoshop. And then I spent all that time trying to learn how to blend these photos together so that I could get that look that I wanted with the underexposed background and yet have them properly exposed and stand out. Now, this was not the proper way to do it. It was not how anyone would recommend you take a shot like this. And in the end, it added a ton of time and pressure on me that was not needed. I didn't need that time and pressure. But the shot came out, okay. I guess they were happy with it, which at the end of the day is what was important. The photo was for them. It wasn't for me. And we are, we're not always going to have the best gear. We're not even always going to have the right gear. But for me personally, I have found that, being pushed in a corner, I tend to get better than expected results. I don't know why. I wish that I could just bottle that, enthusiasm or energy or focus or whatever it is. I wish that I could bottle that and use it, whenever I wanted, but I can't. It has to be like genuine pressure to be able to get results that, you wouldn't be able to get if you didn't have what it was that you wanted or needed. Now, the next area where I saw a lot of where I saw a lot of photographers, coming up with these mindset issues was when we compare ourselves to others. There's that quote, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And while there's a lot of merit to that, it's also a really fine line because we as photographers need to get inspiration from somewhere, and then in our head, we either flip the switch as, oh, I could do that, or, oh, I could never do that with the same photo. So Jerry said, I love taking photos of all kinds, but I really need to find my thing. As if everybody else in the whole world has their thing, and you're the only one left, and we're all waiting for you. This isn't. Photography is a journey of self-exploration. It is. It's we have to go out on our own and we have to discover what it is that we like. And if you like everything, then you like everything. But I mean, how many times have you said to yourself, "Oh, I wish I could take photos like that. Or how many times have you said to yourself, I could do that if I was X, if I was younger, if I had that camera, if I lived in a tropical location like that. Yeah, of course I could take photos like that. Yeah. Yeah, I could do that. Now, when we're just getting started, like I said, we have to draw inspiration from somewhere. And this is the trap. We look at other photographers' work. We go on Instagram, which, of course, these photographers are only posting their best shots. So we get on Instagram and see the culmination of, I don't know, more than 100 photographers' best shots. And somehow our brain stops looking at each of these photos and thinking, oh, this is Mark's photo. Oh, this is Sarah's photo. Oh, this is, Rebecca's photo. And we look at all of these photos and our brain just blends them together and says, oh, this is from the same photographer, as if we're looking at some sort of portfolio. And then, boom, it hits. Suddenly we went from, oh, I'll check out Instagram for some inspiration for my next shoot. Yeah, I'm really going to nail it. Super excited, enthusiastic. To now all of a sudden, man, I'm never going to be this good. And what's tough here is that Instagram, Pinterest, these are fantastic places for inspiration. But it's on us to rein in what it is that we are looking for. So next time you need inspiration, try this. Narrow down your focus. What do you need inspiration on? Is it posing? Is it lighting? Is it the editing? Are you looking for dreamlike photos? Are you looking to take, naturally lit beach photos? Or are you looking for that Vanity Fair family portrait? I don't know. But before you search, know what it is that you're looking for. And, if you're just beginning and you need help with all of it, just pick one today. Just pick one. Now, these things that are holding us back are, again, it's our own mindset, and it is the stories that we tell ourselves. We grow this vision of ourselves, from childhood, from experiences that we've had, from things that we've seen. And this is just how we talk to ourselves. So, I don't know where you are. If you're in the car right now, if you're at the gym, you're probably not at the gym. If you're in the car right now, if you're at home, if you're, making lunch for the kids, raise your hand if any of these sound like something that you would say. Juanita said that her goal for 2021 is to work through the fear. That was it, to work through the fear. Juanita, I feel that. Taya says to become more confident in my work and overcome analysis paralysis. Rhonda says my goal for 2021 is to stop being a chicken and pick up my camera. Wendy says confidence. Serena says shoot more to gain more confidence. Raise your hand if that sounds like you. Raise your hand if that sounds like something that you would say. The camera does not work on confidence. A camera does not work on, fear. It does not suddenly have, terrible ISO performance the more fear that you have internally. A camera it's a surgical tool. It is purely mechanical and it uses math. Things that don't involve any sort of emotion, and yet we as people, once again, we tell ourselves these stories that are full of emotion. And then we let that dictate how it is that we use this tool here. Can I share something with you real quick? Every wedding that I show up to, I still get butterflies. Terrified. I know that there are a million, that's probably on the low end. There's probably 100 million photographers that are better than me. I get stuck between ideas and ultimately I choose none. I do that all the time. Oh, should I get this lens? Should I get that lens? I can't choose. I don't know. I'm just not going to pick a lens. And then a month later, I'm thinking to myself, why didn't I get that lens? Like, I need it now. When I deliver a wedding, I feel sick. What if I didn't get enough shots? I should have done more portraits. Why didn't I bring out my flash and try something creative? Oh my God, did I get a photo of the bride and her mom? These things get me too. They get me. They do. But what keeps me going at the end of the day, what keeps me going is that I know at the end of every wedding, I get just a little bit better. After each wedding, I ask myself, what went well today? What didn't go well today? And usually the list of things that didn't go well is longer than the list of things that did go well. Now from there, I just simply make changes for both the good and the bad, and then I move forward. Early on, I didn't send out any sort of, wedding day questionnaire. I just showed up because that's what they wanted me to. They wanted me to show up on their wedding day. I showed up on their wedding day and I shot it. And then I realized, oh my gosh, at some point we are spending so much time on these family photos. Why is that? Oh, well, I don't know who Aunt Sally is or Uncle Buck. I wish I went to a wedding with Uncle Buck. But I don't know who these people are. So how am I supposed to call them out? So what happened after that? I made a wedding day questionnaire. Hey, make a list of all the important family photos that you want me to get. Oh, okay, we got John, we got Susie, bridegroom. We got mom, dad, bridegroom. We got siblings, bride. Okay, great. Okay, where's John and Susie? All right, let's come up here. Let's take a photo. Okay, great. And that saved me time. And this only came because I asked myself, what didn't go good today? And then I made adjustments. But I know that when I get that one shot, and you know exactly what shot I'm talking about. Light is great. The expression is great. The photo's in focus. Oh man, there is nothing better than that. But guess what? You can't get that shot if you let fear get in the way and give up. You'll never get it. You got into photography for a reason. And you don't have to be like any other photographers out there if you don't want to be. If you just want to shoot and keep the photos for yourself, do it. Don't do it because you're scared, of course. But if you just want the personal joy that you get out of photography, you don't need to, start a separate Instagram, research hashtags, look into printing services, and make it a hustle. You don't have to do that. You can keep photography 100% personal. Nothing wrong with that. There's no rules when it comes to photography and how you interact with it. Obviously, don't be creepy, don't be rude, don't, do anything you shouldn't. But aside from that, there's no rule that says, oh, well, if you have a camera, now it's time to make this a side hustle. But I would be willing to bet that once you did start sharing your work, that others would be more supportive than you would imagine. Now, these mindset things can affect our bigger goals for ourselves as well. As I said, photography is that creative outlet. And you may want to keep it personal. Totally fine. But there are many who do have those larger aspirations. Having something like a photography business. Maybe just something on the side that you can manage yourself, make a few extra bucks on the weekend. Pay for that family vacation. That would be great. Still keep your job, your health insurance. These things are totally fine. You don't have to aspire to have a 6-figure photography business. You don't have to, you don't have to do that. Just because you have a camera, that doesn't mean, oh, well, it's time to start working on that. But when it comes to those mindset games that we play with ourselves, this is where it can hurt. I don't want to say the most. It really depends on, what it is that your aspirations are. If you want to keep photography as a personal thing, then, mindset is going to be everything there. But if you want to turn it into a business, that can affect, not only do you have to worry about your image quality, but you have to worry about the effect that it has on your bottom line and your ability to use your camera to make money. Now, Jeremy said that his goal for 2021 is to get clients consistently. That's solid. Tyrell says, I want to get 15 weddings. That's awesome, man. I'd love that. Eric says, I want to move from part-time to full-time. I want to quit my job. I want to start doing in-person sales and have a studio space by the end of the year. Woo, that is a big goal. And to be able to do that, your mind's got to be right. Brandy says, I want to get the confidence and have less anxiety after every session. Brandy, all I can say to you is that, some of that will go away. But if you can learn to use that and harness it to make that session the best that it can be, because you're anxious about delivering something poor, you're going to succeed. Valerie says, I want to have confidence enough in myself to up my prices. Caitlin says her goal for 2021 is just learning all that I can. Shoot more, start booking sessions. I just get nervous that people don't end up, or that people won't end up liking their pictures. I just don't want to let anybody down. Ugh, Caitlin, yes, I know, me too. Me too. I don't want to let anybody down. That would be the worst. Photography is so personal to us. It is a part of us. And when we let somebody down, if somebody doesn't like their photos, we feel like that is a reflection on us. But when we are first starting, we are still learning who we are as a photographer. So we can't let that hurt in the beginning. Like if there's still things that you're questionable about when it comes to photography, you can't let photography hurt you and other people's opinions of it, because you don't even know who that is yet. You don't even know who you are as a photographer yet. So you cannot let that hurt you. Ariel says, you know what? I would like to actually work as a photographer. I am tired of working retail and I would love to work in something that I love. Real quick, raise your hand if you feel that as well. So many of us, want to take control of our lives. And we see the camera as a way of helping us get there. Now, let me say that running a business, it is hard. It is tough. It is real tough, especially in a year like this. But the only way that we can succeed is to remove ourselves from our goals. And then, out of those goals, make a plan. The first few years of my photography business, granted, I was shooting lower price weddings, but the majority of my bookings came from referrals from my wife. I was like 23, the age where many are getting married, and my wife happened to know a lot of people. So she would throw out my name. The first few years I was doing no marketing. I was doing no outreach, nothing. All I was doing was just sitting back and booking 10 to 15 weddings a year. And that was still with a full-time job. And then just like that, the well dried up. My wife ran out of people she knew who were getting married. I don't know. People stopped getting married. They were getting older. They had already become married, and then I was left high and dry. That third year, I shot 2 weddings. It was real bad. It was real bad. But I realized immediately, oh man, I need to have a plan. Having a plan and doing marketing were going to be essential to my success as a photographer. So what did I do? I didn't say to myself, but, I didn't go to business school. I don't know what I'm doing. I just started learning as much as I could and implementing it all. And then next year, guess what? Right back to where I was the previous year. But this time, there was no family, no friends. And that was honestly, it was a huge relief, because I thought to myself for the first time, oh my God, I am in control of the clients that I'm getting. No longer is it, oh, well, we're not a good fit, but this person is a friend of my wife, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway and just not be happy about it. No longer was I feeling that. And for that reason, it is why it is so important to plan out our next year ahead of time. Because if you just made decisions in the moment, well, our decisions would, depend on how we were feeling in that moment, our confidence levels, what's going on in our home life. Oh my God, there's so much laundry to do. I cannot focus on posting to social media right now. It's kind of like, you know, the diet. When you're coming up with, you try to make a meal plan for the week ahead because you know that come 6 p.m. on Thursday after you had a bad day at work, you're not going to be wanting to make quinoa and corn for dinner. You're not going to want to do that. You're going to call in for some pizza. You're going to go, get some Chinese food. But if you had a meal plan, if you shopped properly, you have all the ingredients, then, well, there's no way around it. You're going to feel so guilty about going out to eat that you're not going to do it. You're just going to stay on track and you're going to follow the plan. We should be setting goals as photographers as if we couldn't fail. This is what's crazy, right? You think about something like I just thought of this, so bear with me if it doesn't really work out too well. But, you think of something that requires a lot of people, a lot of technology, like a cell phone company, right? For you to make cell phones, you can't do that on your own. Like there's so many pieces. You need engineers, you need, electronic people, you need manufacturing, you need shipping, you need all of these things. There are so many people involved. It is crazy that it ever happens, right? There are so many places where it could go wrong, where it could fail. And yet we're just one person. We are one person. We make all the decisions. We have all the control. We should be making these goals as if we are rock stars and that we could not fail because we don't have anybody else to wait on but ourselves. Now, I want to help you do that. I want to be your cheerleader. Now, like I mentioned earlier, my live Plan Your 2021 Marketing Calendar Workshop is going live next week. That's going to happen next week, December 18th. And that's going to be just for premium members. So you already know about the premium membership. You know that it comes with extended weekly interviews with my guests who share all of their best tips on how to make money, marketing. You know that you can join the premium members only community with other photographers going through the exact same thing that you are, and then they can offer support and advice. You know that you can also get access to the premium trainings like, how to price your photography for a profit. That's important. You'd like to make money with your photography, right? How to market your photography business. You got to get in front of people, right? You get all the email templates you could need to correspond with clients. What if Mom says that she wants to be on the contract? What if they say that they want a refund? How are you going to respond to these things? And also how to create client workflows. You got to have a process to walk them through. Again, if you have a process, you can't leave your emotional state for that day depend on how you're going to run your business. You got to follow a process, a workflow. And of course, as a premium member, you also get specials like this live workshop on planning your 2021 marketing calendar. So I'm excited because I'm going to be sharing exactly what I will be doing for 2021. And I'm also going to be sharing dozens of ideas that you could implement yourself, no matter where you're at in your business, whether you just got started or if you've been doing it for a few years. Like I said, I'm going to be sharing my exact process as well. And at the end, you are going to walk away with 12 promotions planned out to make 2021 your best year ever. And this is the best part. You ready? If you become a premium member by December 18th, I'm going to refund you the entire month of December for you. So that means that you'll get your first month of the premium membership absolutely free. Come on in, check it out. You have nothing to lose, literally. Like I said, I'm going to refund you all your money back. Nothing to lose. And the only thing that you have to gain is your best year ever. So if you want to join the premium membership and have your best year yet ever, then you can click the link at the top of the page at beginnerphotographypodcast.com, or here in your podcast player, I put a link in the description as well. So if you're an Apple Podcast, you can just swipe up and then you'll see the show notes. So again, become a premium member by December 18th, and I'm going to refund you your entire first month. And if you're busy December 18th, no worries. The live training is also recorded. You're also going to be able to watch that anytime throughout the month. So it is time to stop getting in the way of yourself. 2020 was hard enough on its own for us photographers. We don't need to make it any harder than it needs to be. One thing that we should be doing, you need to start doing, that I should be doing, is to surround ourselves with the right people. A community of photographers also growing their photography skills. And again, there's a link to join the premium membership in the description of this episode. You can head over to beginnerphotographypodcast.com and click the premium membership button at the top of the page to join. Real excited. Hope that you come on in, join me, create that marketing calendar for yourself and your business. Well, this is so typically when I write out these, or typically when I make one of these podcasts, I open up a Google Doc and I lay out kind of the key points that I want to talk about here with you today. Well, I went ahead and I outlined this episode yesterday morning, and then I plan to record it, well, right now, this morning. But yesterday evening, I got a package in the mail from my mom, and she told me that a package was coming and that inside was going to be a new set of pajamas for our daughter and a new, coloring book all about Arizona for our son, Charlie. So I wasn't looking forward to it or anything because it was, mainly for them. But at the bottom of the box, there was a Ziploc bag. And inside that Ziploc was a ton of old photographs. If you're watching on YouTube, I mean, just like tons of old photographs. Now, I've shared this story on the podcast before, but this will give this little piece a little bit more context. My father passed away when I was just 10 months old, so I don't have any memories of him. But I do have a photo of him. If you're watching on YouTube, it's right here behind me. It's just him holding me. And well, I guess my mom took that photo. But to my knowledge, this is the only photo that I knew that had a photo of me and my dad together. And again, I keep that photo on the shelf behind me here. I get to see it every day, look at it every day. But as I was looking through this bag of old photos, there was photos of my mom's wedding in 1978 with her big old, Stevie Nicks hat and lots of lace. But as I continued to go through, I was greeted by this nice little surprise of a photo of my dad holding me on Halloween of '88. And that would have been just 2 weeks before he had passed. And I got, little cat whiskers. I don't know why I was a cat, but I guess my mom thought that it'd be cute if I was a cat. So I got the cat whiskers painted on. He's holding me, and we're next to, the largest pumpkins, even to this day, that I've ever seen, that he somehow carved out. But this brings me back to this idea of, today's topic. Because all that I can think about is, thank God my mom didn't say to herself, yeah, I could take this photo, but I don't have the right lens. Or, yeah, but, it's dark outside. The photo's going to be all grainy. Yeah, I could take this photo, but it's fine. We're going to have a million more opportunities to get photos together. Because we didn't. I'm thankful that she didn't say those things, that she didn't let any sort of mindset issue get in her way, and she just took it. And now I have it. I'm sure that many of you have experienced a similar situation, and while the photos that we have of loved ones, they may not be good technically, but we have it. And if you can go through your photography journey with that mindset, like, this is important to me, or this is important to them, so I'm just going to do it. I'm going to grab the shot. I don't care that the light is poor. I don't care that I have the wrong lens. This photo, no matter how poor it is, technically, will mean something to somebody when these people are gone. And when you view the world through that lens, no pun intended, it just kind of came out, then you're going to be able to have an impact on the world with your photography. Think about that. My mom, she's not a photographer, but a photograph that my mom took is one of my most prized possessions. You could do that too. You could do that. So that is it for this week. Until next week, I want you to continue to make do. I want you to make more. I want you to do more, no matter what stories you are telling yourself inside, because I promise you that what you got is better than you think. All right, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Beginner Photography Podcast. If you enjoy the show, consider leaving a review in iTunes. Keep shooting, and we'll see you next week.